The Winter Grid Collapse: A Survival Thriller Part 1. The long dark. The first thing you need to understand about the end of the world is that it doesn't arrive with fanfare. No trumpets, no dramatic countdown. It just happens. One moment you are living your normal life, and the next, everything you have built, everything you have assumed would always be there, simply stops working. For me, it started on a Tuesday, the 12th of November, 6:47 a.m. I was in my workshop in the basement, my real basement. Not the bunker, though I would be down there soon enough, calibrating the voltage regulator on my backup battery bank when the lights flickered once, twice, then died completely. The darkness lasted maybe 3 seconds before my emergency LED strips kicked in, bathing everything in cold white light. But those 3 seconds told me everything I needed to know. The grid was down. I stood there in my workshop, surrounded by tools and equipment I had been collecting for 5 years, and felt something most people would call paranoia, but I had always known was preparation. My heart didn't race, my hands didn't shake. Instead, I felt this cold, crystalline clarity wash over me. Everything I had predicted, everything I had planned for, it was happening. I grabbed my phone, still had battery. Cell towers were probably still up for now, and pulled up the power company's outage map. The app wouldn't load. Tried the local news. Nothing. Weather service. Nothing. I switched to radio. My ham radio setup, the one Elena always rolled her eyes at, calling it my apocalypse toy. Static on most frequencies, but on the emergency channels I caught fragments. Cascade failure across the eastern seaboard. Cyber attack suspected. Infrastructure compromised. Shelter in place. Conserve all. The transmission cut out. When it came back, it was a different voice.
Sure there's no other way?
Polar vortex projected to reach Maine by 1800 hours today. Temperatures expected to drop to historic lows. Repeat. This is not a drill. Seek immediate shelter, and static again, then nothing. I checked my watch, 6:52 a.m. If the polar vortex was hitting by 6 p.m., that gave me roughly 11 hours to make final preparations. 11 hours to get into the bunker and seal it. 11 hours before everything above ground became unsurvivable. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my engineer's mind already running through the checklist. The house was still dark. Elena must still be asleep. Good. I needed to think without her questioning every decision, without her dismissive sighs and comments about my obsession. The kitchen was cold. The heating had been electric baseboard, and with the grid down, it was already starting to lose warmth. I could see my breath. Outside the window, the sky was the color of dirty steel, heavy with the promise of snow. My phone buzzed. Text from my coworker Dave, "Power out at your place too?" I typed back, "Yeah, looks widespread. Probably be back up in a few hours. Always is." I didn't respond. Dave was a good engineer, brilliant with systems design. But he had that fatal flaw most people shared: optimism, that the infrastructure we would all taken for granted would somehow repair itself. I knew better. I had spent 5 years studying grid vulnerabilities, 5 years reading about cascade failures, about how interconnected and fragile modern power systems really were. 5 years preparing for exactly this scenario, while everyone, Elena especially, called me paranoid. Who is paranoid now? I walked to the basement door. The regular basement, not the hidden entrance to the bunker that was concealed behind a false wall in my workshop, accessed through a heavy steel hatch only I knew how to open. The bunker itself was a masterpiece of engineering and paranoia. I had built it over 3 years, doing most of the work myself, telling Elena I was renovating the basement and adding extra storage. She never came down to check, too busy with her yoga classes and book club and whatever else she did during the day. What I would actually built was a completely self-contained survival shelter, 20 feet below the house, reinforced concrete walls, 2 feet thick. Its own ventilation system, water filtration, and the crown jewel, a rocket mass heater that could keep the space at 65 degrees for 12 hours, on a single armload of wood. No electricity required. That was the key. While everyone else would be desperately trying to keep generators running, burning through fuel, making noise, attracting attention. I would be warm and silent and invisible. I heard footsteps upstairs. Elena was awake, Sterling. Her voice came down the stairs, groggy and annoyed. "Why is it so cold? Did the power go out?" "Yeah," I called back. "Grid's down. Widespread outage." "Well, call the power company." "I cannot take a shower if there is no hot water." I closed my eyes, counted to 5. Opened them. "The power company's grid is down. Calling them will not help." Well, how long until it is fixed? Could be days. Days. Now she was at the top of the basement stairs, silhouetted against the gray light from the kitchen window. Even backlit, I could make out her expression, that particular blend of irritation and dismissal she reserved for anything I said that contradicted her worldview. "Don't be dramatic. It is never out more than a few hours." "This is different." "How is it different, Elena? The entire eastern seaboard is down. This is a cascade failure, and there is a polar vortex coming. We need to prepare." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Prepare for what? It is just a power outage." "Sterling, you act like it is the end of the world." I looked at her. Really looked at her. We had been married for 7 years, and I couldn't remember the last time she had taken anything I said seriously. Every concern was dismissed. Every preparation was paranoia. Every warning was drama. 7 years of being treated like I was crazy for having the foresight to plan ahead. Well, she would see soon enough. "I am going to move some supplies around," I said. "Make sure we are set for a few days without power, whatever. I am going back to bed. Wake me when the power's back on." She turned and disappeared upstairs. I stood there in the cold basement, surrounded by my tools and my preparations, and felt something cold and hard crystallize in my chest. When things got bad, and they would get bad, I would remember this moment. I would remember her dismissive laugh, her complete inability to see what was right in front of her, and I would remember that I tried to warn her. I spent the next 2 hours doing final checks. The bunker was already mostly stocked. I had been moving supplies down gradually over the past few months. Canned goods, rice, flour, dried beans, water purification tablets, medical supplies, tools, everything I had need to survive for months if necessary. The rocket mass heater was my pride and joy. I had built it myself from firebrick and cob, following designs from permaculture forums and old-school homesteading guides. The principle was simple but elegant. You burned wood in a small, super-hot combustion chamber, and the heat traveled through a long thermal mass made of brick and clay before venting outside through a carefully concealed exhaust pipe. The thermal mass absorbed the heat and radiated it slowly over 12 to 24 hours, which meant I could burn a small amount of wood once or twice a day and stay warm continuously, using maybe 1/10 of the fuel a regular wood stove would require. And critically, no electricity needed, no fans, no pumps, just fire, physics, and thermal mass. I had tested it dozens of times. It worked perfectly. The battery bank was my backup for lights and electronics. Deep cycle marine batteries, 8 of them, wired in series to provide 48 volts DC, connected to a charge controller, an inverter, and enough LED lights to keep the bunker illuminated for 3 weeks straight if I needed to. I had a small solar panel array hidden on the roof disguised as a skylight, but I wasn't counting on that with the storm coming. The batteries would have to be enough. The ventilation system was passive, a clever arrangement of pipes that used convection to pull fresh air in and push stale air out without any fans or powered equipment. I had spent 6 months getting the math right on that. The pipes were small enough to avoid detection, but large enough to keep air circulating. Water was the tricky part. I had 50 gallons stored in jerry cans, plus another 100 gallons in a concealed tank. Water purification tablets and a gravity filter as backup. It would be enough for months if I was careful. Food was abundant. I had been stockpiling for 3 years. Enough calories to last through a winter, maybe longer. The only thing I didn't have was company, which, given recent events, was probably for the best. At 8:30 a.m., I heard the front door open and close. I climbed back upstairs. Elena was in the kitchen, pulling on her coat. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Yoga class." I stared at her. "Elena, the power's out. The roads are going to be a mess. There is a blizzard coming. It is just a power outage. Sterling, stop being dramatic." She grabbed her keys. "I will be back in 2 hours." Elena, but she was already out the door. I stood in the cold kitchen and listened to her car start. Back out of the driveway, disappear down the street. Fine, let her go. Let her be out when the reality hit. Maybe she would finally understand. I went back to work. By noon, the temperature had dropped to 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Still above freezing, but falling fast. The sky was the color of old concrete, heavy and low. Snow had started just flurries at first, but building. The radio was full of emergency broadcasts now. The tone had shifted from temporary inconvenience to major crisis in the space of a few hours. Unprecedented coordination between cyber attack and weather event. Cascading failures across 17 states, National Guard mobilizing but roads impassable in many areas. Shelter in place. Do not attempt to travel. Conserve all heat sources. Check on elderly neighbors. I was in my workshop when I heard Elena's car return. She came in through the garage, stamping her feet, shaking snow from her hair. "Okay," she said, her voice tight. "People were fighting over bottled water. Fighting. Sterling. I have never seen anything like it." She stood in the kitchen, hugging herself, looking genuinely shaken for the first time since I had known her. "Did you get supplies?" I asked. "The store was almost empty. I got some canned soup, a few gallons of water. That is it." "Everything else was gone," I nodded. "That is what happened when people waited until the crisis hit to prepare." "We will be fine," I said. "I have supplies." "Supplies? What kind of supplies?" "Enough. Don't worry about it." She looked at me. Really looked at me. Maybe for the first time in years. "Sterling, what did you do?" I prepared. "Like I have been telling you to do for 5 years. Where are these supplies? Stored. Don't worry about it." "Don't worry about," she laughed. But there was an edge to it now. Hysteria creeping in. "Sterling, it is getting cold in here. Really cold. And they are saying on the news this could last days. Maybe weeks. So where exactly are these supplies?" I met her eyes, held her gaze. "Safe. We will be fine." She stared at me. A truck was pulling into our driveway. Not a vehicle I recognized. "Who is that?" Elena asked. I already knew. Divorced, mid-30s. Worked construction when he felt like it. Spent most of his time at the gym getting swole and hitting on married women at the local bar. I had seen him talking to Elena a few times. Always too friendly. Always too long. Standing too close. I had never said anything. What was the point? Either Elena was faithful or she wasn't. Accusing her would just make me look paranoid, but I had noticed. I always noticed. Julian got out of his truck, saw Elena through the kitchen window, waved. She waved back. He came to the door. Elena opened it. "Hey, neighbors." Julian had that easy, confident smile that women seem to find charming, and I found deeply irritating. "Sterling says it might be out for days." "Days?" Julian laughed, looked at me. "Come on, man. They will have it fixed by tomorrow. They always do." I didn't respond. "Anyway," Julian continued, "I am organizing a sort of neighborhood thing. Thought we could all pool resources, you know. Share supplies, keep each other warm, safety in numbers and all that." "That is sweet," Elena said. "Sterling, we should help." "We are fine," I said flatly. Julian's smile flickered. "Well, even if you are fine, others might not be. Mrs. Miller down the street, she is elderly, lives alone. The Johnsons have 3 young kids. We should look out for each other." "You are welcome to organize whatever you want," I said. "We are taking care of ourselves." Elena shot me a look. "Sterling." "What?" "I am supposed to give away our supplies to people who didn't prepare." "Jesus, Sterling. It is called being a decent human being." Julian held up his hands, playing peacemaker. "Hey, no pressure, just wanted to extend the offer." Elena, if you need anything, I am 3 houses down. You know where to find me. The way he said it, the way he looked at her, the way she looked back, I saw it all. Thanks, Julian, Elena said. Her voice warm in a way it never was when she talked to me. That is really thoughtful. Julian left. Elena closed the door, turned to me with fire in her eyes. You were incredibly rude. I was honest. You were selfish. People need help and you are just going to hoard everything? I didn't hoard. I prepared. There is a difference. Oh my God, Sterling. Listen to yourself. This is why no one likes you. This is why we never get invited anywhere. Because you are so fucking paranoid and selfish and right. I finished. I was right. The grid is down. The temperature is dropping. That polar vortex is coming. And in about 6 hours, everyone who didn't prepare is going to start dying. She stared at me. You are insane, am I? Go ahead. Go join Julian's little neighborhood cooperative. Share your resources. Freeze together. I will be fine. Fine, she laughed. Bitter. You will be fine, Sterling. We don't have a generator. We don't have a wood stove. How exactly are we going to heat this house? I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said the words I had been rehearsing in my head for 5 years. I do have heat. I have everything we need. But you have to trust me. Trust you, Sterling. You have been keeping secrets, not secrets, preparations. And if you want to survive what is coming, you will stop arguing and listen. The look on her face, shock, fear, and something else, something calculating. She had never looked at me like that before. Okay, she said slowly. Okay. Show me. I should have known right then, should have seen it. The way she switched from hostile to compliant so quickly, the way her eyes went distant, like she was thinking 3 steps ahead. But I was too focused on being right. On proving I had been right all along. So I made the first mistake. I showed her the bunker. We stood in my workshop. The LED strips casting hard shadows. And I showed her how to move the false wall. Showed her the heavy steel hatch underneath. The wheel lock that required a combination only I knew. Jesus, she breathed. How long have you been building this? 3 years. 3 years. And you never told me. You never would have approved, she didn't argue. Just watched as I spun the combination 27-15-34. Our anniversary date. Though I would regret that choice soon enough, and hauled the hatch open. Steel ladder descending into darkness. I went first, Elena following. The bunker was cold, hadn't heated it yet, but dry and solid. I turned on the LED strips and the space came to life. 20 by 20 feet, concrete walls, shelves of supplies. The rocket mass heater in the corner, unlit. The battery bank. Water storage. Sleeping area with 2 cots. A small table and chairs. Chemical toilet behind a curtain. Everything you had need to survive. Elena walked around slowly, touching things. The canned goods. The medical kit. The tools. This is, she trailed off. This is actually incredible, Sterling. I told you I was prepared. You did. She turned to look at me. I am sorry, I should have listened. That is when I should have known. Elena never apologized. Never admitted she was wrong. The words should have set off every alarm bell in my head. But I was too busy being vindicated. We need to move down here, I said, now. Before the temperature drops further, I will get the heater going, and we can seal the hatch. We will be safe down here. What about the house above us? What about it? Will not people try to get in, break in, maybe? But they will not find this. The hatch is hidden. The exhaust pipe is concealed. As far as anyone knows, we evacuated. She nodded slowly. Smart. You thought of everything. I had. I really had. So why did I feel like I was missing something? We spent the next 2 hours moving final supplies down. Elena was actually helpful, carrying boxes without complaint. Maybe the crisis had finally made her see reason. At 4:30 p.m., the temperature was 18 degrees and falling. Snow was coming down hard now. Real snow, the kind that buried everything. The radio said the polar vortex would hit around 6 p.m. Temperatures expected to drop to 0 by midnight and keep falling. I fired up the rocket mass heater, fed in kindling. Got a good hot fire going, added hardwood, the combustion chamber roared. And within minutes, I could feel warmth radiating from the thermal mass. Perfect. Elena was sitting on one of the cots, wrapped in a blanket, watching me work. Sterling, I really am sorry. For not listening. For thinking you were crazy. I glanced at her. She looked sincere, vulnerable, like the woman I had married 7 years ago before everything turned cold between us. It is okay, I said. We are safe now. That is what matters. Yeah, she smiled, small but real. We are safe. Then her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, typed something, put it away. Who was that? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Just checking on people, making sure everyone's okay. Cell towers might go down soon. Battery life too. I know, just saying goodbye, I guess. To the normal world. I nodded, went back to adjusting the heater. But I had seen her face when she looked at that phone. Seen the quick flash of something calculation planning, and I knew. I didn't know the details, didn't know the specifics, but I knew. She was up to something. So I made the second mistake. The one that would either save my life or damn my soul. I started listening. That night, we ate canned stew heated on the rocket mass heater, played cards by LED light, talked about nothing important. Elena seemed relaxed, content, even. Around 10 p.m., she said she was tired, went to her cot, turned away from me, pulled the blanket up. I waited an hour. Then too, her breathing was steady. Deep, either asleep or faking it well. I pulled out my tablet fully charged, would last for days, and opened the home security app. See, the thing about being a paranoid engineer is you think of everything. And one of the things I had thought of, months ago, was the possibility that someday I might need to know what was happening in my own house, even if I wasn't there, so I had installed cameras. Hidden ones in every room, including the bedroom, including our bedroom, where I had placed a tiny camera inside the smoke detector above the bed. And next to that camera, because why not be thorough, a microphone that recorded to a hidden server in my workshop, accessible from my tablet. I would never actually check the recordings. Never needed to. They were just there. Insurance. Now I pulled up the interface, went to the bedroom camera, scrolled back to this morning. Watched Elena wake up, get dressed, check her phone. Nothing interesting. Fast forward, her coming home from her failed shopping trip, pacing, checking her phone, looking worried. Then Julian's truck in the driveway, their conversation at the door, me being rude. Then, after Julian left, after our argument, after I went back down to the basement, Elena pulled out her phone, made a call. I turned up the volume, pressed the tablet close to my ear. Hey, yeah, it is me. Listen, it is bad. The power's really out. Sterling was right. It might be days. Maybe weeks. Pause. Julian's voice came through faintly. Jesus, what are we going to do? Sterling has supplies. A lot of them. He showed me this bunker he built under the house. It is insane, Julian. There is enough food and water for months. A bunker? Are you fucking kidding me? I am serious. It is like something out of a movie. Completely self-contained. Heat, lights, everything. You heard him earlier. He is going to lock himself in that bunker and let everyone else freeze. Yeah, well, it is his bunker. Asshole move, but technically his right. Julian, her voice dropped, intimate. You will freeze to death in 3 days. Is that what you want? Of course not. But the bunker is big enough for 3 people, easily. Another long pause. Then, Elena, what exactly are you suggesting? I am suggesting we have options. That is all options. Think about it. We will talk later. I have to go, he is getting suspicious. She hung up, then went back downstairs, acting worried and apologetic. I sat in the bunker, tablet in my hands, and felt the world narrow down to a single, crystalline point. My wife, planning something with her lover, something involving me. This bunker? And options. I should have been furious. Colder than the polar vortex bearing down on Maine. Clearer than I had ever been in my life, because now I knew. And knowing meant I could prepare. I closed the tablet, looked at Elena sleeping peacefully on her cot, wrapped in a blanket, warm and safe in the shelter I had built. And I started planning my own options. Day 1. The 13th of November 32F. The polar vortex arrived at 11:47 p.m. the previous night. I know because I was awake, sitting at the small table in the bunker, watching temperature readings on my tablet. The outdoor sensor I had installed went from 18F to 5F in 20 minutes. By midnight, it hit 0. By 3 a.m., it was negative 10F. This was just the beginning. Elena slept through it all, or pretended to. Hard to tell with her anymore. I had spent the night thinking, planning, running scenarios. The smart move was to confront her now, kick her out, let her freeze, protect my resources and my life. But that was too simple, too unsatisfying. Because I wanted to know more, wanted to understand the full scope of her betrayal, wanted to let her dig her own grave before I buried her in it. I made coffee instant, from my supplies and heated water on the rocket mass heater. Elena woke up, stretched, accepted the cup I offered with a sleepy smile. "Morning," she said. "How would we do overnight?" "Fine." Heater worked perfectly. "Temperature stayed around 65 down here. What about outside?" I showed her the tablet. Current temperature, negative 15F. Her eyes went wide. "Jesus, it is going to get worse. This is only day 1. How much worse?" "Forecast says negative 40F by the end of the week." She sipped her coffee, processing. "So we just stay down here for how long? Until it is safe. Could be a week, could be a month, a month." She looked around the bunker. 20 by 20 feet, 2 cots, 1 chemical toilet. That is going to get cramped. You wanted safety. This is safety. She didn't argue, just nodded, drank her coffee, but I saw it. The calculation in her eyes. The wheels turning. Around noon, her phone buzzed. "Signal still up," she said, surprised. "Cell towers have backup generators. They will run for a few days, maybe a week." She looked at the phone. "Type something." "Put it away quickly." "Who was that?" I asked. "Just checking on people, seeing who made it." "Hard to tell?" "What? This bunker? The combination lock on the hatch? Only I know it. If something happens to me, you need to know how to get out." "Oh," she relaxed slightly. "Yeah, that makes sense. So I am going to teach you." "But Elena, this is serious. This combination is the only way in or out. You cannot share it with anyone. You understand? Of course." "Why would I share it? I am just saying. People are going to get desperate out there. If anyone knew about this bunker, they would do anything to get in." "Sterling, I am not going to tell anyone." "Jesus." I nodded. Made a show of thinking. "Okay. The combination is 27-15-34, our anniversary. Can you remember that? 27-15-34. "Yeah, I got it." "Say it back." 27-15-34. Good. Now, if you ever need to leave, if I am incapacitated or something happens, you turn the wheel left to 27, right to 15, left to 34, then pull the release lever. Left, right, left. Got it. I watched her face, watched her memorize it, watched her think about what she could do with that information. Then I smiled. Good. Now we are both safe. That afternoon, while Elena was using the chemical toilet behind the curtain, I slipped her phone out of her jacket pocket, went through her messages, found the texts with Julian. Julian. "How is it down there?" Elena. "Warm. Safe." Sterling's actually planned everything perfectly. After that, I don't know. "Elena, I am working on something. Hang tight." Julian, "Working on what?" "Elena, just trust me. I will get you down here." Elena, "Let me handle Sterling, Julian." Elena, "What are you planning?" Elena, "Don't worry about it. Just stay alive for 3 more days." Julian, "Jesus, Elena. What are you going to do, Elena?" "Whatever I have to." I put the phone back. Saturday at the table, stared at the wall. Whatever I have to, let me handle Sterling. The meaning was clear. I heard the curtain move. Elena emerged, saw me sitting there. You look weird. Just thinking. About what? Survival, I said. What people will do to survive. She studied my face for a moment, then smiled. Well, lucky for us, we don't have to do anything crazy. We have got everything we need right here? Yeah, I said. Lucky us. That night, after Elena fell asleep, I did something I had been planning since I first heard her phone conversation. I changed the combination lock. The hatch could be opened from inside without the combination. There was an emergency release lever. But from outside, you needed the code, and now the code was 430819. Random numbers. Nothing she'd guess. I also did something else. Something that would seem paranoid even by my standards. I installed a small bolt lock on the inside of the hatch, hidden behind a panel, invisible, unless you knew where to look. A backup security measure. Because if Elena managed to get Julian down here somehow, if they managed to overpower me, I wanted one last line of defense. Call it paranoia, call it preparation, either way, I was ready. Day 2 passed quietly. We played cards, read books, ate canned food, acted like a normal couple stuck in a bunker during a crisis. The temperature outside hit -25°F. The radio, when we could pick up a signal, was full of disaster reports. People freezing in their homes. Pipes bursting, looting, violence. Elena listened to these reports with an expression I couldn't quite read. Was that sympathy? Or calculation? It is horrible, she said. All those people dying. It is what happens when you don't prepare. Sterling, they are human beings. So am I. And I prepared. I worked. I sacrificed. I built all this while everyone else was out living their lives. Calling me crazy. You cannot just let people die because they didn't believe you. Watch me. She stared at me. You are not the man I married. No, I said. I am the man who survived. There is a difference. That night, her phone buzzed again. 3 times in a row, urgent. She grabbed it, went behind the curtain for privacy. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I didn't need to. Her body language said everything. Tension, stress, planning. When she came back, her face was carefully neutral. Julian's in trouble. His house lost all heat. He is burning furniture, but it is not enough. He asked if he could come here. Number Sterling. Number this bunker is for us. Adding another person means food runs out faster, water runs out faster, heat gets shared thinner. The math doesn't work, he is going to die. That is not my problem. Jesus Christ, Sterling. Listen to yourself. He is a human being, our neighbor. We have room. We have supplies. We can help him. Number we cannot, and that is final. She looked at me with something that might have been hate, or might have been murder. Fine, she said coldly. Then I will tell him to find somewhere else. She went back behind the curtain. I heard murmured conversation, then silence. When she came back out, her face was blank. Empty. I told him we cannot help, she said flatly. Hope you are happy, I said nothing. Just watched her climb into her cot, turn away from me, pull the blanket over her head, and I knew. She had just told Julian something, made some plan, sent some message I wasn't supposed to see. So I waited until she was asleep, or faking sleep. Either way, I waited. Then I crept over to her jacket, found her phone, pulled up her messages. Elena Sterling said no. He will not let you in. Julian, fuck. Elena, I am going to freeze to death in 2 days. Elena, I know. Listen, I have a plan. Julian. What kind of plan, Elena? The less you know right now, the better. Just, can you get your hands on a weapon? Something heavy? Julian? Like what? Elena? An axe? A crowbar? Something. Julian, Jesus, Elena. Are you talking about Elena? I am talking about survival. My survival, your survival. Sterling has made it clear he doesn't care if you die. Well, I care. And I am not letting him decide who lives and who dies. Julian, when? Elena, soon. I need to set it up. Make him lower his guard. Can you get to the house, Julian, if I move at night? Yeah, when? Elena, tomorrow night. I will create a distraction. Get him to come upstairs. You come in through the garage, I will leave it unlocked. Hide in the living room. When he comes up, you take him from behind. Julian, and then Elena. And then we have a warm bunker and enough supplies for months. Just the two of us. Long pause in the messages. Then Julian, Elena. You are talking about murder. Elena, I am talking about survival. He made his choice. Now we are making ours. Julian, Jesus. Elena, are you with me or not? Because if you are not, you will be dead in 48 hours. Julian, yeah, I am with you. Elena, good, tomorrow night. Julian, I will. I stared at the phone for a long time, my wife, planning to murder me with her lover. For my bunker, I should have felt something. Rage, betrayal, fear. Instead, I felt that same cold clarity, that crystalline focus. Because now I had all the information I needed. And tomorrow night, when they made their move, I would be ready. I put the phone back, climbed into my cot, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow night, midnight. Perfect. Part 2? The Betrayal Day 3. The 15th of November 0F. I woke before Elena. Checked the temperature readings on my tablet. Outside, -5F. Inside the bunker, 64F. The rocket mass heater was still radiating warmth from last night's burn. Perfect. I lay on my cot, staring at the concrete ceiling, running through tonight's scenario one more time. Elena would create some distraction, make me come upstairs, probably claim she heard something. A burglar, an intruder, something that would require me to investigate. Julian would be waiting. Axe or crowbar in hand, hiding in the living room, the kitchen, somewhere with good ambush positioning. I would come up the ladder, step into my workshop, walk through the house, distracted, concerned about the threat. Julian would attack from behind. One good swing, cave in my skull. Quick, efficient, merciful if I was lucky. Then they had dumped my body somewhere cold, seal the bunker, live happily ever after on my supplies. That was their plan. My plan was simpler. Don't go upstairs. I heard Elena stirring. Saturday up, put on my boots, checked the heater. Added a few pieces of wood to the combustion chamber. The fire caught quickly, roaring in that satisfying way that meant everything was working perfectly. Morning, Elena said behind me. Her voice was different today. Lighter, almost excited. Morning, I replied without turning around. Sleep okay? Fine, you? Good, really good. Actually, she came to stand beside me, watching the fire. Sterling, yeah, I have been thinking. About yesterday, about Julian. You were right. I turned to look at her. Yeah, we cannot save everyone. We have to take care of ourselves first. I get that now. This was new. Elena admitting I was right. Elena being agreeable. This was her softening me up, making me trust her. I am glad you understand, I said. I do, and I am sorry for giving you a hard time. You prepared for this. You were smart. I should have listened. She touched my arm light, casual. The first physical contact we had had in, how long? Months. It is okay, I said. We are safe now. That is what matters. She smiled, warm, genuine looking. If I didn't know what she was planning, I might have believed it. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure, if we are going to be down here for weeks, maybe a month, shouldn't we do an inventory? Figure out exactly how long our supplies will last. I studied her face. Why? Just to know. So we can ration properly. I already know how long everything will last. I planned it down to the calorie. I know, but humor me? I would feel better if I understood the full picture. This was interesting. Was she trying to assess the supplies? Figure out if there was really enough for 3 people? Or was this something else? All right, I said, I will show you. I spent the next hour walking her through everything. The 50-pound bags of rice, the crates of canned goods, the medical supplies, the water storage, the fuel for the heater. This is incredible, she said, running her hands over the shelves. There is enough here for months. Maybe longer. 18 months for 2 people if we are careful, I said. 12 months if we are comfortable, 12 months. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what about for 3 people? There it was. Why would there be 3 people? I asked carefully. I am just doing the math, hypothetically. Hypothetically, it would last 8 months, maybe 9. She nodded. Processing. Still a long time. Long enough, she turned to face me. Sterling, can I be honest with you? Always. I feel terrible about Julian. I know you said we cannot help him, and I understand your reasoning, but he is going to die, and we have so much. Wouldn't it be the right thing to number, but Elena? Number, I have done the math. Adding a 3rd person means we run out faster. It means less food for us, less safety, less control. He could help, extra hands, extra muscle. If someone tries to break in, we don't need extra hands. We need our supplies to last. And that means just us. She held my gaze for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, you are right. I just had to ask, I know, and I appreciate you understanding. She smiled, touched my arm again. We are a team, right? We are in this together, right? But I saw it in her eyes. The calculation, the planning. She had just confirmed there were enough supplies for 3 people, confirmed that she and Julian could live comfortably for 8 months down here. All they needed was for me to be gone. The day passed slowly. We rationed our activities. You can only do so much in a 20 by 20 space. Elena read a book. I maintained the heater. We ate lunch in silence. Around 3 p.m., the neighborhood emergency radio crackled to life. We had set up a short-range communication network a year ago. One of those community preparedness things that everyone signed up for and nobody actually used. Little handheld radios that could reach maybe half a mile. Hello, is anyone there? This is Mark Jenkins, 47 Maple Street. We need help. My wife, she is not breathing right. I think it is carbon monoxide. Sterling, they are dying. And if we go out there, we will die too. Or we will get mobbed by desperate people. Or we will expose the bunker. Number, so we just listen to them die? Yes, she stared at me, then turned away, hugging herself. The radio crackled again. Mark Jenkins, his voice weaker. Please, someone, anyone. My kids then, nothing. Elena was shaking, crying silently, whether from genuine emotion or performance art. I couldn't tell. Sterling, she whispered. What has happened to you? I survived, I said. That is what happened. She didn't respond. Just sat on her cot, staring at the wall. The radio continued throughout the afternoon. Different voices, different emergencies. This is Sarah Miller, 52 Maple. My husband is, I think he is dead. He is so cold. Please. Someone, anybody on this frequency? This is Ryan Cooper. Group of teenagers are breaking into houses. They are violent. They are armed. If you are listening, lock your doors. Help, please. It is so cold. We burned everything. There is nothing left. Please, by evening. The voices had stopped. Either the batteries died, or the people did. The temperature outside was negative 18 F, still dropping. Dinner was canned chili, heated on the rocket mass heater. Elena barely touched hers. Not hungry? I asked. They made their choices. I made mine. Jesus Christ. She set her bowl aside. You know what? You were right earlier. You are not the man I married. That man had empathy. Humanity. This? Whatever you are now, I don't even recognize you. I could have defended myself. Could have explained that humanity was a luxury you couldn't afford during collapse. That empathy got you killed. Instead, I just shrugged. Think whatever you want, Elena. We are both alive. That is what matters. She stood up abruptly. I need some air. I am going crazy down here. There is no air upstairs. It is as cold as outside. I don't care. I need space. I need to not be looking at you. Elena, I am going upstairs for an hour. Don't follow me. She grabbed her coat, climbed the ladder, opened the hatch. Cold air rushed down. She disappeared through the opening. The hatch stayed open. I sat there looking up at it. At the darkness beyond. This was it. The setup. She was upstairs now. Probably texting Julian, telling him to come over, unlocking the garage door, getting him into position. In an hour, she had called down. Say she heard something. Say she needed help. And when I climbed that ladder, Julian would be waiting. Simple, elegant. Probably would have worked, but I wasn't going up. I waited. Finished my chili, cleaned my bowl, fed the heater. Did everything normally. 45 minutes passed. The hatch was still open, cold air pouring down. The temperature in the bunker had already dropped from 64 to 58. Then Elena's voice from above. Sterling. Sterling, I need you. I didn't move. Sterling, there is someone outside. I think someone's trying to break in. I stayed seated at the table. Sterling, please. I am scared. I need you up here. Silence for a moment. Then footsteps moving away from the hatch, muffled voices. I couldn't make out words, but I recognized the tone. Confusion. Worry. The plan wasn't working. I wasn't taking the bait. More footsteps. Then come down here and seal the hatch. I called back calmly. I cannot. What if they get in? What if they find the bunker? They will not. Come down and seal it now, Sterling, now. Elena, she disappeared from view. More muffled voices, urgent whispers. Then she was back at the hatch. Sterling, please. Just come up for 1 second. Just look around. Make sure we are safe. Number, why not? Because I am not stupid. Silence. Long, heavy silence. What does that mean? Her voice had changed, colder, harder. It means I know, Elena. I know everything. Know what? About Julian. About your plan. About tonight. More silence. Then, Sterling. I don't know what you are talking about. I am up here alone. I am scared. Please, you are a terrible liar. Come down now. Last chance. I heard whispered conversation, Elena's voice. Tight with stress. Another voice, male, deeper. Julian. They were making a decision. Then Elena's voice, louder, defiant. Number, no. Number, I am not coming down. And you know what? You are right. Julian is up here. And you know what else? We are not going away. That bunker is big enough for 3 people. You are going to let us down, or what? Or we will wait. We will stay up here and wait for you to come out. Sooner or later, you will have to. Maybe to use a real bathroom. Maybe to check the house. Maybe you will get stir crazy, but you will come up eventually, and we will be waiting. I stood up, walked to the base of the ladder, looked up at the hatch, opening, at the darkness beyond. You think you can outwait me, Elena? I have supplies for 18 months. You have, what? Whatever's in the kitchen? Maybe a week's worth of food if you are lucky? We will find more. We will scavenge. In negative 20-degree weather, with no heat. You will be dead in 3 days. Julian's voice now, drifting down. Maybe. But maybe you will feel guilty. Maybe you will open the hatch and let us in. Because that is what a decent human being would do. I almost laughed. You two don't get it, do you? I stopped being a decent human being the moment I built this bunker. I built it to survive. And I am going to survive. With or without you. Sterling, Elena's voice cracked. Please, I am your wife. Doesn't that mean anything? Not anymore? You made your choice when you decided to kill me. Now I am making mine. I reached up and grabbed the hatch. They saw what I was doing. Elena screamed, no, and I heard rushing footsteps, but I was faster. I slammed the hatch shut, spun the interior wheel lock, engaged the hidden bolt I had installed. From above, muffled shouting, pounding on the steel. Elena's voice, hysterical. Sterling. Sterling, open this door, please. It is freezing up here. We will die. Yes, I said calmly. Though they probably couldn't hear me. You will. I walked to my tablet, pulled up the camera feeds. Watched them. Julian was examining the lock mechanism, looking for weaknesses. They were both wearing heavy coats, but already they were shivering. The temperature in my workshop was probably around 10 degrees, cold enough to see your breath, cold enough to hurt. Not cold enough to kill, not yet. But it would get there. I sat down at the table, made myself a cup of tea instant, but hot and sweet, sipped it slowly while I watched them on the screen. This was going to be interesting. Day 4. The 16th of November, -10 F. I woke to the sound of pounding, rhythmic, persistent. Boom, boom. They were still at it, trying to break through the hatch. I checked the cameras. Julian had found a crowbar somewhere, probably from my tool chest upstairs, and was working on the hatch seal. Elena was wrapped in blankets, huddled against the wall, watching him work. They had survived the night. Good. I didn't want this to be over too quickly. The temperature upstairs was -2 F. The whole house was an icebox now. Every window was frosted over. The pipes had burst yesterday. I had heard them go. Sharp cracks like gunshots. Water had flooded the basement workshop before freezing solid. My workshop was now a skating rink, and they were trapped in it. I made breakfast, oatmeal with dried fruit. Coffee, normal morning routine. The pounding continued. Boom, boom. I turned on the intercom. Morning. Elena. The pounding stopped. Silence. Then her voice, thin and shaking, sterling. Please, let us in. Number, we are freezing. We made a mistake. We were scared and desperate, and we made a terrible mistake. But please, don't let us die like this. I sipped my coffee. You were going to kill me. I know. And I am sorry. We both are. It was wrong. It was evil. But please, you are not a murderer. Don't do this. I am not doing anything. You are up there by choice. You can leave any time you want. Walk out the front door. Find shelter somewhere else. You know we cannot. It is -10 degrees outside. We had die in an hour. Then I guess you have a problem. Julian's voice. Hoarse and angry, you motherfucker. When we get down there, you are not getting down here. That hatch is 8 inches of steel. The lock is hardened. The hinges are internal. You could work on it for a month and you wouldn't get through. Do the math. Silence. Then Elena sobbing, please, Sterling, please, I love you. I am sorry. Please don't kill us. You don't love me, you love my bunker. There is a difference. I turned off the intercom, watched them on camera for a while. Elena was crying. Julian was examining the hatch again, looking for any weakness, any opening. There wasn't one. I had built it too well. Around noon, I heard voices on the emergency radio, not from inside my house, from outside the neighborhood. Agnon listening. This is Frank Delacroix, 38 Maple. If anyone has heat, blankets, anything. My daughter is only 4 years old. Please. I listened for a while, turned it off. Checked the cameras. Elena and Julian had moved upstairs to the main house. They were in the living room, wrapped in every blanket they could find, huddled together for warmth. The temperature in the house was now -8 F. The same as outside. They had found the last of the food in the kitchen. Maybe some crackers, some canned soup. They were eating it cold. You couldn't heat anything without power or fire. And all the burnable furniture was gone. I watched Julian put his arm around Elena, watched her lean into him. Two people facing death, finding comfort in each other. Did I feel anything? Guilt? Pity? Satisfaction? I don't know. It was all too abstract, too remote. They were on a screen, like characters in a show. Not real people, not my wife and her lover. Just pixels. Day 5. The 17th of November. -20 F. The teen gang showed up around 2 p.m. I saw them on the exterior cameras. 6 teenagers, maybe 15, 18 years old. 3 boys, 3 girls, wearing layers of clothes, carrying weapons, baseball bats, crowbars. One had what looked like a hunting rifle. They were going house to house, breaking in, looting whatever they could find. I watched them hit the Johnson house 2 doors down, smashed the windows, went inside. Came out 10 minutes later with armfuls of stuff. Then they moved to my house. I pulled up the interior cameras. Elena and Julian were upstairs in the master bedroom, conserving what little body heat they had left. The teenagers broke down the front door, splintered wood, twisted frame. They poured inside, spreading out, grabbing everything that looked useful. One of them, a tall kid with a mohawk, kicked open the bedroom door. Elena screamed. Julian jumped up, grabbed the crowbar. "Get the fuck out," Julian shouted. The kid with the mohawk laughed. "Ooh, tough guy. What are you gonna do, old man? I will bash your fucking skull in, that is what." "Yeah." The kid pulled out a pistol. "I got this." "What do you got?" Julian froze. The crowbar suddenly seemed very inadequate. "That is what I thought," Mohawk said. He gestured at Elena. "She your girl? Leave her alone. I asked you a question. Now get the fuck out of my house." "Your house?" Mohawk laughed. "Man, is not nobody's house anymore. It is survival of the fittest now." He stepped closer to Elena. "She is pretty. Maybe she should come with us, keep us warm at night." Julian raised the crowbar. "Touch her, and I will." Mohawk shot him. Just like that. Pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening in the small room. Julian went down, clutching his leg, screaming. Elena was screaming too. Mohawk ignored her, nodded at his friends. "Get whatever's useful. We are gone in 5. They ransacked the house, took all the remaining food, all the blankets, all the warm clothes, took everything. Then they left, leaving Julian bleeding on the bedroom floor, Elena sobbing over him. I watched it all on camera, detached, analytical. The gunshot was interesting. Thigh wound. Probably hit the femoral artery, given the blood. Julian would bleed out in 30 minutes. Maybe less. I was right. 23 minutes later, Julian stopped moving, stopped breathing. Died with Elena holding him, rocking back and forth, crying. She stayed like that for hours, holding his body, talking to it. Eventually, as night fell, she had to make a choice. Stay with Julian's body in a room that was now -15°F, or move somewhere warmer. There was nowhere warmer. The whole house was a freezer. She dragged him downstairs. Don't know why. Maybe she thought it would be warmer near the basement. Maybe she was in shock. She ended up in my workshop right above the bunker, lying next to Julian's body, wrapped in the one thin blanket the teenagers hadn't taken. I watched her shiver, watched her cry, watched her slowly start to shut down as the cold invaded every cell in her body. This was the end. Then she would be dead by morning, and I would be free. Day 6. I don't know how. Hypothermia should have taken her, should have stopped her heart, frozen her solid. But when I checked the cameras at dawn, she was still moving, barely sluggish, confused, but alive. She had covered herself with Julian's body, using his corpse as insulation. That is, smart. Actually, morbid as hell, but smart. His body heat would be gone now. But the mass itself provided some protection from the cold. Not much, but enough. She was also farther gone than I had thought possible. Her lips were blue, her fingers were black with frostbite. When she tried to move, it took her minutes to drag herself a few inches, but she was conscious aware. And she was looking at the hatch. I watched her crawl toward it, inch by inch. It took her 20 minutes to cover 10 feet. She reached the hatch, pressed her ruined hands against the steel. "Sterling," she whispered. So quiet I had to turn the volume all the way up. "Please. I know you can hear me. Please." I didn't respond. "I am dying. You have won. You were right about everything. About me, about Julian, about all of it. You were right, and I was wrong. Silence. Please. I will never bother you again. Just please. Please let me in. Please let me get warm. Just for an hour. Just enough to." She trailed off, started crying, quiet, desperate sobs. "I am so cold," she whispered. I am so cold I cannot feel anything anymore. My hands don't work. My feet don't work. I cannot. She collapsed against the hatch. Lay there, breathing shallow breaths. I watched her for a long time. Then I turned off the monitor. Made myself breakfast. Oatmeal again. Coffee. When I checked the camera again, she was still there. Still breathing. Still alive. Still suffering. Part 3. The Long Wait, Day 7, the 19th of November. -40F. Elena stopped moving sometime during the night. I checked the cameras at 6 a.m. She was still lying against the hatch, curled in a fetal position, covered partially by what remained of Julian's frozen corpse. I watched for 20 minutes. No movement, no breath fog. She was gone. I should have felt something. Relief, guilt, triumph, something. Instead, I felt nothing. Just empty. I made coffee. Saturday at my table, stared at the wall. My wife was dead. I had killed her. Not directly. I hadn't pulled a trigger, hadn't swung an axe, but I had killed her as surely as if I had. She had tried to kill me first. That was important to remember. She and Julian had planned my murder. I had just defended myself. Defended my resources, my survival. That is what I told myself anyway. Around noon, I pulled out my tablet, went through Elena's phone. I still had access to her accounts through my home network before it went down. Found something I wasn't expecting. Voice memos, dozens of them. She had been recording herself, speaking into her phone during the last few days. I almost didn't listen. Almost deleted them. But I had to know. Had to hear what she had been thinking. I pressed play on the first one. The timestamp showed day 4. Elena's voice came through the speaker, shaking with cold and fear. It is so cold, I don't think Sterling understands how cold it is up here. Or maybe he does. Maybe that is the point. Julian and I burned all the furniture we could. The dining table, the chairs, the bookshelf, everything. But it barely made a dent. And now it is all gone and we are still freezing. And I don't know what to do. Julian keeps saying we will find a way, that we will break through the hatch or wait Sterling out, but I can see it in his eyes. He knows. We are going to die up here, and it is all my fault. I convinced him to do this. I told him we could take the bunker, that it would be easy. That Sterling was just a paranoid engineer, not a real threat. I was so stupid, so fucking stupid. Sterling, if you are listening to this and knowing you probably found a way to access my phone. I am sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything now. I know sorry doesn't fix what I did. But I am so sorry. The recording ended abruptly. I sat there staring at the tablet. Her voice, raw, frightened. Those teenagers shot him. Just walked in and shot him like it was nothing. Like he was nothing. I am alone now. Alone with his body. It is starting to freeze solid. He is turning blue. His eyes are still open. I tried to close them, but they are frozen that way. I don't have much time. I can feel it. My fingers aren't working anymore. My toes either. Everything is numb. Everything is cold. Sterling, I know you are down there. I know you can hear me, please. I am begging you. Let me in. Just for a little while, just to get warm. I will leave after. I promise. I will walk out into the cold and never come back. Just please, let me feel warm one more time before I die. The audio cut out. I found another recording from later that same day. Elena's voice was barely audible now, a whisper. I thought about us, about when we first met. Do you remember? That stupid coffee shop near campus? You were reading some dense philosophy book and I made a joke about Descartes and you actually laughed. You never laugh anymore. When did that stop? When did we stop being us? I think it was around the time you started building the bunker. You got so obsessed, so focused on preparing for the worst that you stopped living in the present. Stopped being my husband, started being this cold, calculating survival machine. I hated it. Hated who you became. But now I understand. You were right. The world did end. And you prepared for it, and I didn't. So I guess you win. I hope it was worth it, Sterling. I hope living in your bunker alone was worth becoming a monster. The recording ended. I turned off the tablet, set it aside. Monster. She called me a monster. Was I? I had built a shelter, stockpiled supplies, made rational decisions based on logic and mathematics. That is not monstrous. That is smart. Elena had betrayed me, planned to murder me. She had made her choice. I had just reacted, defended myself. That is not being a monster. That is being a survivor, right? I spent the rest of the day trying to convince myself. Day 8 through day 14 passed in a blur, without Elena, without anyone to talk to. Time lost its meaning. I fell into a routine so rigid, it was almost ritualistic. 6 to 00 a.m., wake up 6 to 15 a.m., feed the heater 6 to 30 a.m. Coffee and oatmeal, 7 to 00 a.m. Check cameras. Nothing to see, just frozen bodies and empty rooms, 8 to 00 a.m. Inventory check 9 to 00 a.m. Exercise, push-ups, sit-ups, bodyweight movements, 10 to 00 a.m. Read 12 to 00 p.m. Lunch 1 to 00 p.m. Radio monitoring 3:00 p.m. Equipment maintenance, 5 to 00 p.m. Dinner 6 to 00 p.m. More reading, 8 to 00 p.m. Check cameras again, 9 to 00 p.m. Sleep every day. Same schedule, same meals, same silence. The radio broadcasts got grimmer. Day 9, I heard this. National emergency, death toll now estimated in the millions. Infrastructure collapse across 18 states. Rescue operations hampered by extreme weather. If you are hearing this, shelter in place. Do not attempt to travel. Repeat. Do not attempt to travel. Day 11. Reports of violence, looting, cannibalism in some areas. Maintain distance from strangers. Trust no one. Government relief efforts delayed indefinitely. Day 13. Polar vortex expected to persist for minimum 3 weeks. Temperatures remaining dangerously low. Survival rates dropping hourly. If you have heat, conserve it. If you have food, ration it. If you have hope, hold on to it. That last one almost made me laugh. Hope. What a luxury. On day 10, I went through Elena's voice memos again. Found more. The timestamp showed day 6. Elena's voice was slurred, barely coherent. I am using Julian's body to stay warm. That is how far I have fallen. Cuddling with a corpse to steal his last bits of heat. He is frozen solid now. Like a statue. Like one of those bodies from Pompeii, caught mid-action, preserved forever. Is that what I will be? A frozen corpse in a basement workshop? Will someone find us in 100 years and wonder what happened? Will they know I deserved this? There was a long pause in the recording, just the sound of wind and her ragged breathing. I did deserve this. That is the thing. I was going to kill my husband for his supplies, for his bunker, for comfort. What kind of person does that? Sterling knew. He always knew what I was. He just waited. Let me reveal myself. Let me damn myself. God, he must hate me so much. The recording ended. Number. I didn't hate her. Hate requires emotion, requires caring. I felt nothing. Day 15. The 26th of November, -35F. I heard something on the radio that made me pay attention. Rescue teams approaching affected areas. National Guard establishing forward operating bases. If you have survived this long, help is coming. Repeat, help is coming. Estimate 3 to 7 days before full regional access. Help was coming. In a week, maybe less. There would be soldiers, medics, questions. I looked at the cameras, at Elena's frozen body still lying against the hatch, at Julian's corpse a few feet away. What would I tell them? The truth. My wife and her lover tried to kill me. So I locked them out of my bunker and let them freeze. The text messages, the evidence of their plan. Would that be enough? I spent the next few days preparing, organizing my evidence, rehearsing my story, and trying very hard not to think about Elena's voice memos. Day 18. I made a mistake. I was doing my daily camera check when I noticed something. Elena's phone was still in her jacket pocket. Still had battery somehow, probably because the cold had put it in a preservation state, and it was still recording. I accessed the latest files. The timestamp showed day 7, early morning. Elena's voice was barely a whisper now, each word an effort. I cannot move anymore, cannot feel anything. This is it. This is how I die. Sterling, I hope you hear this. I hope it haunts you. I loved you. I really did, at the beginning. Everything went wrong. But mostly, I am sorry you became this. This cold, heartless thing. You used to be good, funny, kind. Now you are just surviving. And maybe that is what it takes. Maybe to survive, you have to kill everything human inside you. If that is true, if that is what survival costs, then I am glad I am dying. Because I would rather freeze than become what you are. There was a long silence on the recording. Just the sound of wind and her labored breathing getting slower, shallower. Then, barely audible, I am scared. It is so dark, so cold. I cannot. The recording ended abruptly. The file timestamp, day 7, 3:47 a.m. About 6 hours before she died. I sat there with the tablet in my hands, listening to silence. She had died thinking I was a monster, died believing survival had cost me my humanity. Was she right? I didn't know anymore. Day 20. The 30th of November, -32°F. The temperature was finally starting to rise. Slowly, 1 or 2 degrees, per Dalton Y. The polar vortex was weakening. The radio confirmed it. Cold snap beginning to break. Temperatures expected to rise to -10°F by end of week. Rescue operations accelerating. If you have survived this long, hold on. Help is coming. I started planning my exit from the bunker. Couldn't stay down here forever. Eventually, I had need to surface, face whatever waited above. I organized my evidence, Elena's text messages with Julian, the planning conversation, the voice memos, edited to remove the parts where she called me a monster. Camera footage of them trying to break in, camera footage of the teen gang shooting Julian. It was all there. A complete narrative of betrayal and self-defense. I was covered, legally, morally, rationally, so why did I feel like I had lost something irretrievable? Day 22, the 2nd of December. -20°F, I found something that broke me. Was going through Elena's phone. Don't know why. Maybe I was torturing myself when I found a folder I hadn't seen before. Photos she had never shown me. Pictures of us, from years ago. There we were at the beach. Both laughing, sunburned, and happy. There we were at someone's wedding, drunk and dancing. There I was, asleep on the couch with a book on my face. And she had taken a picture because she thought it was cute. In every photo, I was smiling. Really smiling. Not the tight, controlled expression I wore now. A genuine, open smile. When had I stopped smiling like that? I scrolled through dozens of photos. Years of memories, years of being happy. Had we been happy? Yes, at the beginning. Before I spent every waking moment preparing for collapse. Before I became what Elena had called me. A cold, calculating survival machine. I sat in my bunker, surrounded by supplies that would last years, warm and safe and alive. And I would never felt more empty. Day 26. The 6th of December, -5°F. The radio crackled to life early morning. National Guard forces entering regional sectors. Search and rescue operations beginning. If you can hear this, make yourself known. Hang white sheets or cloth from windows. Signal fires if possible. We are coming to help. They would be here in days, maybe hours. I needed to prepare. I climbed the ladder for the first time in 3 weeks. Unlocked the hatch, pushed it open. The cold hit me like a physical blow. Even at -5 after weeks of 65-degree comfort, it felt Arctic. My workshop was a disaster. Frozen water everywhere from the burst pipes, icicles hanging from ceiling, and there, right where I had left her, Elena's body. She had frozen in place against the hatch, curled in fetal position. Her hands were pressed against the steel, like she had been trying to claw through right up to the end. Her face was partially visible, beneath ice-crusted hair. Eyes closed, expression peaceful, almost. She looked like she was sleeping. Julian's body was a few feet away, half buried in frozen water and snow that had blown in through broken windows. I stood there, looking at them, and felt something crack inside my chest. These were people, real people, not threats on a screen, not obstacles to remove. People, Elena, my wife, who had loved me once, who had made me laugh, a homewrecker, but also just a guy who had been cold and scared and desperate, and I would let them die. No, I had made them die, orchestrated it, watched it happen. For what? Survival? Safety? Revenge? What had I become? I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes, hours. Time didn't mean anything anymore. Eventually, I heard sounds outside. Engines, voices, heavy boots crunching through snow. The National Guard had arrived. I climbed back down to the bunker, straightened my clothes, organized my evidence one more time. This was it. Time to face judgment. I walked back up, stood at the top of the ladder, and waited. The front door, what was left of it, crashed open. Voices, clear. Got 2 bodies here, civilians. Jesus Christ, they are frozen solid. Check for survivors. I called out, down here. In the basement, footsteps, then flashlight beams. 3 soldiers, weapons raised, appeared at the workshop entrance. Hands where I can see them. The lead soldier barked. I raised my hands. I am not armed. I am the homeowner. Sterling Hart. They approached carefully. The lead soldier sergeant, stripes on his arm, looked past me down into the bunker. Saw the lights, the warmth, the supplies. What the hell is this? Emergency shelter? I built it 3 years ago. When the grid collapsed, I sealed myself inside. And them? He gestured at Elena and Julian. My wife and her friend. They tried to force their way in. I defended myself. Defended yourself, sir? They are frozen to death. That is not defense. That is, I have evidence. I have everything documented, text messages, recordings, camera footage. They planned to kill me. I had no choice. The sergeant studied me for a long moment, then keyed his radio. Command, this is Alpha 2. We have got a survivor at 43 Maple. Also 2 do a request investigative team and medical. Yeah, it is complicated. They pulled me out of the bunker, wrapped me in a thermal blanket, asked me questions while other soldiers photographed the scene, documented the bodies, searched my shelter. I told them everything, showed them the evidence, the texts, the recordings, the edited ones, without Elena calling me a monster, the camera footage. They took it all, bagged it, tagged it, professional. Thorough. You will need to come with us, the sergeant said. Answer more questions. There will be an investigation. Am I under arrest? Not yet. But sir, you watched your wife die, recorded it. That is, we are going to need answers. I defended myself. I had a right to protect my resources. My life, maybe. That is for lawyers to figure out. He looked at me with something that might have been discussed. How would you sleep at night, knowing she was up here freezing while you were warm and safe? I opened my mouth to answer, to explain, to justify. But no words came out. Because the truth was, I didn't know. I didn't know how I would slept, didn't know how I would become the kind of person who could do that. They took me to a forward operating base set up in the high school gym, warm, bright, full of survivors, maybe 50 people, wrapped in blankets, drinking hot soup, looking shell-shocked. I sat in a corner, away from everyone, and waited. Days passed. The investigation continued. They interviewed me, analyzed the evidence, brought in lawyers. psychologists, detectives. The evidence was clear. Elena and Julian had planned to kill me. I had defended myself. Self-defense was justifiable. But the method, watching them freeze, that was murky. You had other options, the detective said. You could have called for help, could have let them in and controlled them somehow. Could have died, I interrupted. They were armed. Desperate. If I had opened that hatch, I would be dead and they would be alive in my bunker. That was the calculus. So you chose your life over theirs. Yes. Even though one of them was your wife. Yes. He stared at me. Mr. Hart, are you a sociopath? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe I am, or maybe I became one. Maybe that is what survival costs. Maybe Elena was right. Right about what? That surviving isn't worth it if you have to kill your humanity to do it. The detective closed his folder, stood up, looked at me with something between pity and revulsion. You are going to walk, he said. Self-defense? Justifiable based on evidence. But, Mr. Hart, you didn't survive. You are sitting here alive. Yeah, but whatever you were before, that is dead. You killed it when you sealed that hatch. He left. I sat alone in the interview room for a long time. He was right, of course. I was alive. But I wasn't living, wasn't human anymore. Just a cold, calculating survival machine. Just like Elena said, I had won. I had survived. I had been right about everything. And it hadn't mattered at all. Epilogue: they released me 2 weeks later. No charges filed. Self-defense, case closed. I went back to my house. The bodies were gone, taken by the coroner. The workshop was still a frozen mess. The bunker below was intact. I could go back down there, seal the hatch, live on my supplies for another year. Or I could walk away, leave it all behind, try to find whatever humanity I had left. I stood at the hatch, looking down into the warm, well-lit bunker. Everything I had worked for, everything I had sacrificed for, everything I had killed for. The radio was still on down there. I could hear it faintly, death toll final count. 2. 7 million recovery efforts ongoing, counseling services available. We will rebuild, we will recover, we will survive, survive. That word didn't mean what it used to. I thought about Elena's voice memo. Her last words, I would rather freeze than become what you are. She had made her choice. Now I had to make mine. I looked at the bunker one more time. Then I reached up and slammed the hatch shut, spun the lock, made it permanent. Then I walked away, out of the house, out of the neighborhood, out of my old life. I don't know where I am going, don't know who I will become, don't know if it is possible to come back from what I did. But I know this, I survived the winter, survived the collapse, survived the end of the world. Now I need to learn how to survive being alive, if that is even possible. End.